Hello, lovelies. Welcome back to another episode of Wedding Wednesday Q&A where we answer your wedding questions. And today's episode is part 2 of how to deal with wedding planning stress. We have shared the first 6 tips over on the last episode, which we have linked below. Now we're getting to the 7th tip, which is to meditate or laugh. There are lots of apps that you can try to slow down and just give you calm and peace. And if you're not into this woo-woo or the meditation vibes, that's totally fine too. You can even just sit down and listen to soothing sounds or just stare outdoors. I mean, all of us have different ways of calming ourselves, and we know that for a fact that there are things that we do that just brings us peace. However that looks like for you, if it's running, meditating, I don't know, screaming at the top of your lungs and singing to Beyonce in your car, however that looks like for you, that's what you should do. You can even set up a warm bath with your favorite aroma, light up candles, play soothing music, whichever, whoever, whatever that it look like for you, that's what you're gonna do to keep you relaxed. Releases all that stress for a little bit, just all that bad juju, say bye-bye to them for a little bit and just have a good laugh. Next on the list is to follow through. Now, if you're working full-time, it's most likely that you might have initially overscheduled yourself for wedding planning. What that means is that you probably haven't had a chance to understand or get a feel of how it is and how you are going to react as you speak to wedding vendors. So say for example, you scheduled 4 consultations over the weekend. So Saturday, say for example, you have 4 consultations. If on that first Saturday you felt so overwhelmed and so stressed and there was so much to take in, next Saturday, if you want to book consultations again, cut it down. Follow through how you feel. So if you feel overwhelmed, make sure that next week, don't overbook yourself. Don't do 4 consultations or 4 meetings. Just do it slowly and surely and be comfortable with the situation that you're in. What happens as well with wedding planning is that it reveals to us sometimes how much we can handle pressure and what triggers us. And understanding that moment is important as we move through scheduling your wedding planning. And organizing and scheduling your wedding tasks depends on how you handle pressure. And sometimes that doesn't show up until you meet a few vendors. So if you meet like 2 or 3 vendors, you probably feel so irritated with some of them, and some of them are probably really amazing. But you won't know that until that moment happens and as you go through it. And following through not just your organized schedule, but also following through what you feel is most comfortable for you. So if you feel like, okay, today I really feel overwhelmed, I don't think speaking to 3 people in one day will help me, don't do that. Next time, do maybe just 1 or 2 and see how you feel. And from there, if you've gotten comfortable, maybe you can do 2 or 3 now. If you found a way to speak to them, if you found a way to organize your thoughts better so that you can express it and share it with the vendors that you're meeting with, then you can increase it to 2 or 3. But follow through not just your schedule, but listen to your body if you feel like you're stressed and you're overwhelmed, and do what your body is telling you and schedule according to that. And as you schedule and you feel like there are things that are a little bit too much for you, you can also consider delegation. Which takes us to the next tip, which is to delegate. Now, whether it is your partner, your wedding planner, your bridal party, your family, your friends, your relatives, however that looks like for you, you can try and check in with them to see if they have free time to help you out with something. Now, there is a good side and a bad side, I'd say. Probably not the bad side, but there is a caveat to delegating. And I would want to say that when you want to delegate and you feel like someone is going to be really good for that specific job, but they say no, you also have to respect that. Don't take it as, they don't want to help me or they are not there for me when I needed them, because some people also want to show up for you the best way they can. And if they cannot show up the best way they can, it's also much better that they don't show up at all, because that's just not gonna cost you stress, gonna cost them stress, and also that's gonna cause strain on their relationship overall. So something doesn't work out and someone doesn't want to help, it doesn't mean it's a reflection of you or the relationship. It actually might seem that they are taking care of their relationship and they did not want to disappoint you. And it might just be true that they don't have the time to help you out. Now, for the people that said yes to the delegation, which is absolutely great, thank God for all of them, you can be specific when you delegate. This doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be too detailed, but you have to be specific enough so they understand what they're exactly doing. The thing about delegation too is that if someone says that they can help you, and if you delegate something for them to do, however that looks like, let's say for example, you figured out that you would rather want to do the centerpieces by yourself, so you want to DIY it, but you need help in placing them on the tables. And you might be an OC person, say for example, that you want the centerpieces to be exactly right in the center of the table. So it can't be a few inches off. It has to be 100% on the center of the table. But the person who you delegated it to and who agreed to help you, it might be maybe 2 inches off the center, 2-3 inches off the center, and might not have the same eye as you, but they are willing to help you and they are helping you. You might want to let go of that a little bit. So this is not to say that you have to totally compromise your vision, but when you delegate, especially if it's free, so it's not a paid professional doing it for you, you can expect that there will be about maybe 30-40% of it that is not going to come out the way you wanted it to be. Now, there are times that they are going to do exactly what you tell them to do, and it's going to be 100% amazing. But the way to handle stress and to not get into too much stress is to let go of some of that. So 30%, if it's off 2 inches from the center, then it's off 2 inches from the center. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to be good looking. It's going to look beautiful. It's amazing. It's just off 2 inches. And for the most part, that's probably just something that you noticed. And you can't just use that to stress yourself, because these people are helping you and they're trying to be there for you to avoid the stress. And if you're going to babysit them and you're going to be so detailed, then you're still going to be stressing. So the goal of delegating to avoid stress, but then you stressing over that delegation, is literally canceling everything out. If not, it's actually doubling the stress, because the goal of delegation is to not stress. Now you have to be honest with yourself as well and ask yourself, to save me from stress, do I delegate this to someone that can do this for me for free, but not probably to the level that I want it to be done? Or should I invest and pay someone to do it exactly the way I want to do it? And this is the caveat of delegation. So you really have to ask yourself, what is it that will save you the stress? It's not always the money, because sometimes it's an investment. You don't have to worry about the day someone's coming late, because if a professional does it, for the most part, that they're going to show up and going to do exactly what you want them to do and what they told you that they will do. Now, if it is a free favor, amazing friends, amazing family, but sometimes they probably won't put as much importance as you would want them to do. Like, oh, it's just off by 2 inches, or it's just off by 3 inches. But to you, it's so important. If you say that to a professional, the professional will make sure that it is literally right in the center. If they have to measure it out, they will measure it out. That's what a professional does. And that's why they're worth the investment. But if you're okay with a few inches out, or someone putting it on the left side instead of the right side, even if you told them to put it on the right side, then it is what it is, and you just have to be open to that. But you have to be honest with yourself on what really is going to cause you stress and what is worth your investment. Next on the list is to have sufficient sleep. This goes without saying that regardless if you're getting married or not, it's important to have enough sleep. But especially when you're getting married, the thing about losing sleep is that it might seem that you lost sleep over something that seemed to be productive. But what's really happening is that you are changing your mood and your temperament for the next day, if not the next week. When you have enough sleep, you have more clarity, you have more understanding, you are more patient, and that affects your decision making, especially through the wedding. The scrolling, the Pinterest board adding, the browsing on social media, the chatting and all that. It is really hard to get rid of that urge to scroll. And it's okay. If you want to set the schedule, what I do is I give myself an hour. So if I say from 10 to 11 I'm gonna browse, but on, say, for Friday I get another bonus hour. So if I do a 9 to 10 browsing, say for example, then I do the browsing at 9 to 10. But on Fridays I do get an extra hour, which is the bonus time, so I can then browse up till midnight, which is amazing for me because then now I look forward to Friday. I'm just like, yeah, I can look and browse more on Fridays. You can do something like that, or however that shows up for you in terms of having sleep. But you're gonna have to help yourself because it's really, really hard. So you can set up diffusers to transition you from like really having this scrolling mindset. Think about scrolling though, is that I feel like every time you click on something, a creativity sparks, right? Like, oh, I found this centerpiece. Oh, I found this. And it just goes on and on. And being cognizant of your limitations and being cognizant of your schedule by putting things around you to help you actually transition is beneficial. So again, you can set up diffusers or light up a candle, turn on your night lights, however that looks like for you. But having things around you to help you achieve that sleep that you need is very, very essential, especially when you're wedding planning. I mean, when you lose sleep, we're not as glowing. Let's be very, very honest. Like, I would lose sleep for 2-3 days and I would wake up on the 4th day and I'll be just like, whoa, what happened here? Like, I know it. I'm like, I'm productive, but I look at myself, I'm just like, okay, there's something wrong. I need to catch up on sleep. I need to make sure that I am on track. And you got to help yourself by putting things in place to help you facilitate and transition from a busy day to an active, creative mind into a peaceful, relaxed state. Last on the list is to keep things separate. Now, we've mentioned this many times that creating a wedding email that's separate from your personal helps you honor your working time, your personal time, and your wedding time. And when you have created that wedding email, I usually also suggest to not put it on your phone. So if you are using that email to book consultations and meetings, you can invite from that calendar your personal email, just so you know what you have planned for the weekend or any bookings you have, say for example, you can keep track of that. But in terms of going into that inbox and checking the email, you can set specific times for that only. That way you don't feel overwhelmed or you're losing the moment that you should be in. For example, here's my best example. Most of the emails that you get through vendors and other wedding details, they're most likely in spreadsheets and in PDFs or in documents. For the most part, if you check them on your phone, you probably won't be able to see the big picture anyways, right? So you're just going to look at it, probably spot a few errors here and there, and it's going to be hanging in your mind the whole day, right? Oh, I need to go home and I need to check that and I need to check this. And that takes you away from the things that you're doing currently, as opposed to only checking that wedding email probably on your device, or your computer, your laptop, your tablet, whatever that looks like for you. If there are PDFs and spreadsheets, you can open it up easily. You can see the whole picture. It's easier for you to respond. It's faster for you to go through it. There's no zooming needed. Maybe you want to zoom here and there, but for the most part, if it's in a bigger device, you see the whole document right away. You can review your spreadsheet much better, much faster, much easier. Again, less stress. Simple shifts might seem like, oh, I'm just going to look at it and I'll look at it on my phone, but not really respond to it. You registered it in your head. Now, unknowingly, you're actually thinking about what to do with it the whole day, when you could have just, went into that spot or that time that you allotted for you to check that wedding email and do it right then and there and solve it anyways. So don't add extra time for the wedding planning, because that just creates this overwhelm. And that's why it feels like you're always wedding planning all the time, because you're not giving yourself the time to be present. If you're working, you're working. If you're with your partner, you're enjoying your time with your partner. If it's wedding planning, then it's wedding planning. So keeping a lot of things separate is important. Now, this is not to say that they won't overlap. At some point, they will. At some point, they will overlap. At some point, you're probably going to have to multitask. And it's okay. But the more that you can separate them as much as you can, I think the more you can separate them, the easier it is for you to manage everything all together. Because you also want to come out of your wedding planning really, really happy, like a really happy person. You don't want to have all these things in your head running around all the time. That is it for now, lovelies. We hope we've helped you out on how to deal with wedding planning stress. Now, every situation is different. Every circumstance is different. Like what we always say here, you might pick up some nuggets and bits and pieces that might help you out. Take what applies to you. We understand that not everything is for everybody. You are doing great, lovely. We are sending good vibes your way. Your wedding will be beautiful regardless of what will or will not happen. As long as you get married and you get to spend the rest of your life together and also party the night away, it will be beautiful. Don't forget to download your free wedding planning kit below. And as usual, we are here to inspire you to celebrate life and love. Until next time, lovelies, bye.